November 2025. Honorable Speaker, as the motion says, Honorable Speaker, the State of the Nation address is an annual obligation by the President, a constitutional obligation that the President is obligated by the Constitution, our 2010 Constitution, under Articles 132, 1C, and 247, to at least once every year address the nation in Parliament, or address the nation through their elected representatives of the people, and submit also reports on the measures that the government or the executive has taken and progress achieved in the realization of our national values and principles of governance. 2, to also report on progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic of Kenya. And 3, to report to Parliament on the state of our national security. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, many members will agree with me that the President's address last Thursday afternoon was not just any other ordinary address, but it was an update to the nation through the elected representatives and through our live transmission to the rest of the country on where our country was in terms of fulfillment of our international obligations, including our debt repayment, because those are also part of our international obligations. And the President, as he said, when he addressed the House in his first State of the Nation address as President, following the 2022 general elections, he said he had a vision to sell to the people of Kenya. But he came back now in his third address with a story to Kenyans, a story of resilience, a story of how we have stabilized our country amidst a very uncertain and a world full of uncertainty in terms of economic management of around the globe, of countries around the globe. And a story, Honorable Speaker, of how far we have come through periods of drought in this country where people had no food, a story of where we had come back in 2022 when the country had no fuel and Kenyans had to queue along roads leading to fuel stations trying to access fuel. And it's not because there was no fuel being produced in the world, but because it was impossible to get foreign exchange or get dollars to be able to purchase crude oil or even refined oil for use by the country. Honorable Speaker, it's sad that within the region and around the world, there are countries that still are in that state. But the President had a story to tell on how we work together as Kenyans to resolve the issues and the problems that we had then, to ensure that we not only have a stable foreign exchange. At a time, the dollar was trading at a high of almost 162 to 167, to now stabilize to the region of 128 to 129 within a very short period, Honorable Speaker, is indeed a story of resilience and the commitment that we have walked. That, Honorable Speaker, amidst the economic pressure that was there back in 2022, the global uncertainty following the COVID-19 pandemic, and the global supply chain challenges that followed the COVID-19 pandemic around the world, that amidst all these challenges, Honorable Speaker, we have had a very steady rebuilding of our nation, Honorable Speaker. And in his address, Honorable Speaker, this address, Honorable Speaker, as I said, was not just pursuant to a constitutional obligation or the President fulfilling his constitutional mandate, but it was a profound articulation of resilience. The resilience not just of his administration, but the people of Kenya. The resilience that have seen us walk through, as I said, periods of drought, periods of global economic uncertainty and economic pressures, in a way that our nation has emerged stronger. And you remember the President expounding how much many people and many pundits and many skeptics expected that our own economy would not survive beyond 6 months after the 2022 elections. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, it is said there is a leader who convened a meeting in somewhere in Ongata, Rongai, or around Rongai, political leader, and prophesied that there would be an election in Kenya in a period not exceeding 6 months, because this country was going to collapse and the economy was going to collapse. And indeed, that is a dire situation that we were in. You remember, even as clueless as the former deputy president was, during the handover of government, at least he had to say it, that we have found empty coffers, as much as today he lies otherwise. But he said it as it was then, that the coffers were not just empty, they were completely empty. And you heard the president expound how in 2022 our foreign exchange reserves had fallen to the lowest they had ever fallen since the founding of our nation. And today, almost doubled the reserves that we had. That we have been able to stabilize our foreign exchange, Honorable Speaker, to the region of 128 to 129. That amidst all those economic pressures and the global uncertainties that were there, Honorable Speaker, with peers in our region and across Africa defaulting on their public debt obligations, Kenya stood firm, and we continue to meet our public debt obligations, even with difficulty, but we meet our public debt obligations, Honorable Speaker. And this story, Honorable Speaker, of resilience, this story of a responsible administration that is focused on not only achieving our national ambitions, is also a story that was told of where our country is and where it is moving towards, Honorable Speaker. And I keenly listened to His Excellency the President, Honorable Speaker, and I must thank him because he did appreciate the role that Parliament and parliamentarians in the 13th Assembly have played in ensuring that we maintain our nation as a steady nation in an otherwise volatile region, an uncertain global economy, and the huge responsibility that have been bestowed on members of Parliament in both houses, Honorable Speaker, because there are many bills that we have processed that have had to be processed through both houses. And in acknowledging the role that this Parliament has played, Honorable Speaker, that we have been bold to make the right decisions at the right time, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when the President spoke here about the high priests of pessimism, Honorable Speaker, it doesn't mean that they will not always be there. They will always be there. There will be high priests of eternal pessimism. We will have high priests also of eternal lies, and we know them. And we also have high priests of eternal negativity, Honorable Speaker. And when the President commended the 13th Parliament for our boldness and our courage to confront the challenges of our times, Honorable Speaker, it was a very emotional time for me because I couldn't help but remember the events of the year 2024 and the unfortunate incidents around the finance bill of June 2024. Honorable Speaker, because I am always very truthful, I have always told Kenyans that they were lied to. And because lies always travel faster than the truth, it is said, Honorable Speaker, by the time the truth wakes up, the lies have traveled half the world, I'm told.
Actually, the correct phrase is that before the truth starts tying its shoelaces, the lie has traveled halfway around the world.
Before the truth wakes up, the lie has traveled half the globe. And indeed, that is the situation we found ourselves in, Honorable Speaker. That by the time we were going out to tell the Kenyan people the truth of the provisions of the Finance Bill of 2024, the lies had completely whitewashed the truth. I had an incident this Sunday, Honorable Speaker, where a young man from Kino approached me on Sunday after church. And I showed him messages he had sent me during that period, and he had come to me for help. And I asked him, tell me what was your problem with the Finance Bill 2024. He could not articulate a single thing. He only told me I was opposed to the 18% increase of VAT. I went to the bill, I told him, please show me where that 18% VAT was being increased. And he couldn't find it. But that is the tragedy of misinformation and disinformation that our country suffers today. And I'm saying this, Honorable Speaker, because these members suffered insults, were vilified for taking bold steps to do what was right. And I remember saying on this podium, Honorable Speaker, that it is not necessarily true that what is popular is right. And not all that is right is popular. But this parliament chose to do what was right for our country, and that is why today we have that story that the president was speaking to, a story of resilience, a story of faith in our country, a story of sacrifice, huge sacrifices by the people of Kenya, by farmers in Kenya, Honorable Speaker, who today are feeding our nation and reducing the burden of our foreign exchange that we have to cough out to buy food or to import food, be it maize that our farmers are producing, be it those farmers who are producing sugar for us along the sugar belts of Western Kenya, Nyanza, and the coast region of our country, Honorable Speaker, that this story of resilience and sacrifice is a story that permeates in every household across our country, Honorable Speaker. And that is not to say we are there yet, Honorable Speaker. And the President did allude to that fact, that we are not yet there, that we must continue to make bold and courageous decisions to move our nation forward, Honorable Speaker. That, as he has always said, it is indeed true that it is possible within our lifetime to be able to transition this country and our economy from a third world country to a first world country, Honorable Speaker. And at least it's good I had, Honorable Speaker, over the weekend, those who have no agenda, those who have no policies to expound to the people of Kenya, those who speak boldly in funerals over the weekends, Honorable Speaker, at least had content this weekend. But I was waiting to hear, since the President has intent and the will and the determination to move our country from being a third world to a first world country, and he clearly stipulated what we need to do and called on us as the House of Representatives to work with him and work with the Kenyan people as we move our country from the third to the first world, Honorable Speaker. And he was clear in his plan, Honorable Speaker, including the setting up of the infrastructure fund and how we will innovatively fund that infrastructure fund to be able to leverage on it to raise more capital to roll out development projects that will indeed transition our country from a third to a first world, whether it is in the provision of water, for irrigation, to ensure that we are producing adequate food for our country and even be able to export food from our country, whether it is in the rollout of dual carriage roads, whether it's from Rironi to Mau Summit, from Marua, all the way to Nanyuki, Isiolo, whether it is the Maimahio road to enable those people who are going to Narok, like the Honorable Rebecca Tongei, to be able to commute from Narok to Nairobi in record time, and be able to move goods and services around our country, Honorable Speaker. That speech, Honorable Speaker, you could tell the clarity of mind that the President has on what he intends to do and what he's calling on us as a country to work with him and work with each other shoulder by shoulder to achieve. But the high priests of eternal pessimism, Honorable Speaker, in funerals and other social gatherings around the weekend, around the country, well, they are saying, oh, we cannot move the country to a third world, from a third world economy to a first world economy. And they have no idea on what needs to be done. How I wish these high priests of eternal pessimism, as shameless as they are, Honorable Speaker, they would at least give an alternative ideas on what needs to be done. Because it is easier to speak and criticize, but it is better to criticize and offer an alternative. And indeed, those in the opposition, Honorable Speaker, you pride yourselves that you are the government in waiting. You cannot be a government in waiting by just shouting. Only 3 words: one term, Kasongo, and must go. And nothing beyond that. And when they are challenged, Honorable Speaker, and they are told, you have no agenda, you have no plan, and indeed even the people of Kenya at times say you have no brains to be able to articulate to Kenyans what you need to do for them. They take offense when it is Kenyans who are saying it. I saw the other day people in Ukambani, and Honorable CNN was there, in Kitui. The public saying indeed these people have no brains to be able to articulate ideas of how to move the country forward, Honorable Speaker. But they have a very quick mind and quick mouths to run their mouths and criticize and sell negativity and say how well it cannot be achieved. But you are not telling us, if you had the opportunity, what would you do? What is the alternative, Honorable Speaker? I want to invite members of this House and indeed the country to work with President William Ruto in walking the talk and doing what we need to do, Honorable Speaker. He has called on us to support the setup of the infrastructure fund, and I must, in a very special way, Honorable Speaker, as a leader of majority in this House, also express my thanks to the House and to all the members of this House who have been positive, who have been bold and courageous to make the right decisions at the right time for this country, Honorable Speaker. It is indeed true, Honorable Speaker, that those who 3 years ago were saying that if we set up the housing fund, there is not a single house that will be built in this country, are the same people today who are asking, how can I be able to buy an affordable housing or social housing or a market rate housing unit for my family? But, Honorable Speaker, that also speaks volumes to the tragedy that we face as a country today because of leadership that misleads its people, Honorable Speaker. And indeed, it is true that the greatest tragedy we have had in this country is the tragedy of leadership. When you have leaders who cannot make decisions, when you have leaders who are watermelons in decision making, when you have leaders who are clueless, radarless, visionless. Honorable Speaker, when you have such leaders, we lose the plot because they will not tell people where they want to move people to. All they can do is to look at the plans of others and poke holes in the plans of others. Please, for once, offer Kenyans an alternative. And I'm saying that, Honorable Speaker, because I saw some clueless governor of one of those purported party leaders saying the other day that it is indeed true, hatuna agenda yetu ni kupeleka Ruto nyumbani. Then I ask myself, okay, Ruto goes home every day. Then what for Kenyans, Honorable Speaker? And that's why I have also been very bold at times to tell these members of parliament, fear not when people tell you, oh, 2027 home. Which home? You go home every day. You are elected leaders to make decisions on behalf of the people of Kenya. And you must be bold and courageous when you are making decisions on behalf of the people, so long as you are doing it in their best interest. And I want to believe that is why the president was commending the 13th parliament, because you have made bold decisions in the best interest of the people of Kenya. When I see the rise of affordable housing units in Mukuru, Honorable Speaker, and Mukuru, by the way, is a very small fraction of what is being done. When you fly over Kibra, you can see the transformation that Kibra is going through. You can see the demolitions that are going on along Jogoo Road, forgotten the name of that estate. Makongeni estate, Honorable Speaker. Makongeni will probably be 4 or 5 times the size of Mukuru. Sports stadia across the country, Honorable Speaker. Sports academies in our villages, tapping on the talent of our youth, so that those who misuse our youth, because I've seen grandfathers calling themselves, oh, I am the leader of Gen Z. How can you lead a generation that you don't even understand? How can you lead a generation which you even have no plan for, or you have no vision of how you can transform their country for the benefit of these young people? The transformation, Honorable Speaker, that is happening across our country. Honorable Speaker, whenever I travel around the country, whether it's from Kapsabet to Kakamega, to Lokichogi, Honorable Speaker, to Mbere North, where I was yesterday, Honorable Speaker, to Embu, to Nyeri, they are hallmarks of the actual transformation that is going on, whether it is in housing, whether it is in roads being built, Honorable Speaker, roads, some that stalled way back in 2015, 2016, today are being reconstructed because of the bold decisions that this House made some years back, Honorable Speaker. We are the people, we are the leaders who hold the future of our children and our young people in our hands based on the decisions that we make. And that's why, Honorable Speaker, I've said, I join the President in commending this House, that amidst all that pessimism, amidst all the negativity, the bad-mouthing, the negativity, the misinformation, the disinformation, this House stood. And as the President said, we will have a paragraph as a House when finally the history of this country is rewritten on how we moved our country from a third world to a first world country, when we enacted laws that created the housing fund, when we enacted laws that transformed the health architecture of our country to ensure that every Kenyan across the nation, Honorable Speaker, can access universal health coverage. That, Honorable Speaker, in far-flung corners of this country where they never knew what a tarmac road is, they will be able to see tarmac roads like those in Kitui, those in the Matiliku Road, Emali Matiliku Road, which I saw the former Vice President doing some content creation along the road. And I want to invite Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka to please go back to the same road and do another content creation episode and show the people now that the road is being done. Go to Emali Ukia, show people that the road is actually being done. But you know, Honorable Speaker, when I say what has bedeviled this country, Honorable Speaker, is poor leadership and lack of leadership over the years, Honorable Speaker. You can imagine the people of Ukambani had leaders all along, but it has taken bold leaders like the Honorable Basir, like the Honorable CNN here, like the Honorable Rachel Nyamai, Honorable Kawaya, and other great leaders to make sure that they are taking development that was promised to the people of Ukambani. I am told the Ukia Emali Road, I heard Governor Kibwana say that his father, not Governor Kibwana, who is, I think, is 70-something years old, his father, and you can guess probably his father would be 100+ years, had that road promised to him when he was a young man by the colonial government. The Kenyatta administration came, promised the same road. The Moi government came during Mulu Mutisia's time, promised the same road. Mwai Kibaki's government came, did the Emali to Loitoktok road, but Emali to Ukia was never done. Uhuru Kenyatta's government was there for 10 years. and nothing was done. It has taken this administration 2 years to be able to deliver on very good projects like that of Emali Ukia, Matiliku, Emali Road to the people of Ukambani. And that is a story across the country, Honorable Speaker. That when this country was able to only employ about 300,000 teachers over a period of 60 years, 60 good years, within a period of 3 years, we will have employed 100,000 teachers within a period of 3 years. But the high priest of eternal pessimism will tell you that the education system in Kenya is dying. And they will not remind Kenyans that only a short 2.5 years ago in 2022, parents did not know whether their children would finish grade 6 and move to secondary schools or move to junior secondary in primary schools, how the CBC program, which is now CBE, would be transitioned from the old 844, parents were unclear. The high priest of internal pessimism will want Kenyans to forget that a short 2.5 years ago, our young men and women in our universities had their universities being closed down because of debts. But courtesy of the new funding program, Honorable Speaker, today our public universities are standing on their own and on the path to recovery. It has not been a painless journey, Honorable Speaker, but at least there is progress being made, and that is the optimism, Honorable Speaker, that we must continue injecting to Kenyans, not injecting pessimism, negativity, bad-mouthing, and misinformation and disinformation, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you know I could speak on and on and on and on. But this speech, Honorable Speaker, gives the people of Kenya hope that indeed, as the President challenges us to reject small thinking, let us reject small thinking of 1 terms, 2 terms, 4 terms, 5 terms. It is possible today that the nations we envy, the Singapores, the South Koreas, the Malaysias, whose Prime Minister was here the other day, it is possible for Kenya to rise like those countries. But those countries rose because their leaders were bold when others feared. They were decisive when others, like those of our leaders in this country in the past, hesitated. And they were visionary when others settled for less. We must continue being visionaries. We must continue being bold, being courageous, and we must not settle for less. Let us walk the talk. And I invite this House, Honorable Speaker, to continue exhibiting the courage and the boldness that we have exhibited over the last 2.5, almost 3 years, Honorable Speaker, in making the right decisions for the people of Kenya. I know at times it's very good for us, Honorable Speaker, as politicians, to say the things that we know are going to excite the masses out there. But when the masses discover you're only talking for the sake of talking to excite them, they will punish you. So fear not when people tell you that you will go home. You will go home to find a happy people if you made the right decisions for them. Be bold, be courageous in making decisions. And Honorable Speaker, allow me in conclusion, as I conclude, to take this opportunity to, in a very special way, to welcome our brother and colleague, the member for Mosop, the Honorable Abraham Kirwa, who, Honorable Speaker, was unwell, and through the prayers of the people of Mosop and many Kenyans, God has seen him through to get back to the House and continue making the bold decisions I'm talking about and working in the best interest of the people of Mosop and the country. Honorable Kirwa, welcome back to the House. And I take this opportunity not just to welcome you, but to thank the Almighty God and the many Kenyans, especially the great people of Mosop, who have continued to pray for you to fully recover. And it is indeed great to see you here well, walking on your own, and being able to come and represent the people of Mosop and work as a member of parliament that they elected. And I thank the people of Mosop, particularly for being patient and being supportive to the Honorable Kirwa when he was in this post. And we wish you all the best, and thank God for being there for you. Continue serving the people of Mosop and the people of Kenya with the diligence that you have done over the last 2 years, with the courage that you have exhibited, that even at a time Honorable Kirwa was unwell and out of the country being attended to, he had the courage even to come online and vote when he was called on to come and vote for what was important for this country, Honorable Speaker. That Honorable Kirwa had the courage to even organize programs, bursary disbursement in his constituency to make sure that he's following up the needs of his people. This is the resilience, Honorable Speaker, that the President was talking about. And I thank God for the Honorable Kirwa and thank the people of Mosop for the support that they have given to their Member of Parliament. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, because I just spoke about 2 terms and 1 term, I want to encourage the people of Mosop to give the Honorable Kirwa an opportunity when the time comes to serve for a 2nd term in this House, Honorable Speaker, because he has a very clear vision and plan for the people of Mosop. And that I know because I constantly engage with Honorable Kirwa and I've been speaking to him while he was away. And you can see the love and the passion that he has for the people of Mosop. It's not normal, Honorable Speaker, for a member who is sick, any human being who is unwell, and instead of worrying about his own well-being, is worrying about the people he represents. That is Honorable Kirwa, Honorable Speaker. And that tells you the kind of leaders that we have in this country who are empathetic to the people that they represent. And I want to encourage Kenyans, even as you insult members of parliament, left, right, and center, even as you threaten them, remember they have empathy for you, they love you, they work for you, and they make sacrifices for you. And they will remain resilient, even amidst the negativity. And even as we fight with those high priests of internal pessimism, as were described. And Honorable Speaker, with that, I beg to move, and I want to request the Honorable Kangogo Bowen, the indomitable member for Marakwet East, to second this motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I second, I also want to join the little majority to welcome the Honorable Kirwa to the House. And Mr. Speaker, and Madam Speaker, we really want to pray and to thank God because we've seen our fellow colleague back in his feet and able to represent his people, Mosop, in the House. Madam Speaker, I beg to second.
Honorable members, I now propose a question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 24.6, the thanks of this House be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the address of His Excellency the President, delivered in Parliament on Thursday, 20th November 2025, and further, that this House notes the following reports submitted by His Excellency the President in fulfillment of the provisions of Articles 132(1)(c) and 247 of the Constitution, laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 25th November 2025, and those being the following documents: the 12th Annual Report on the measures taken and the progress achieved in the realization of the national values and principles of governance. 2, the 12th Annual Report on the progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic of Kenya. And 3, the Annual Report to Parliament on the state of national security. The Honorable Shakil Shabir, member for Kisumu East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand to thank President Ruto and to recognize that was one of the best State of Nation speeches that I have heard. I know that earlier he spoke about vision,